It is not time that caused this to grow. It's the actual process, and the process is always aided by the presence of organic materials. The actual moss that's growing there actually is catching and precipitating the lime far better than just using the chemistry. If you go to the cave and you wait for the chemistry alone of lime in water plus CO2 to produce a stalactite, you will take forever. But if you throw in bacteria or lime, it'll happen far quicker. Okay, personal experience. I'm sitting in a shed that we turned into our creation research office on my property, which lives, well, it used to be the bush, is now on the edge of the city, and it's still fairly rural. But when I first bought this place, the dates that you got from the textbook had already been through several changes. It used to be regarded as Precambrian rock. Why? Because nobody found any fossils in the rocks under my house. In the 1960s, it changed to Ordovician. That's a decrease of several hundred million. In the 1960s, they found a portion of a trilobite on the north side of town. And because this rock is a huge rock, if you want to know how huge, it goes from Cape York all the way down to Tasmania. This is a big bed of rock. But then in the 1970s, when I was still finishing university, they found a portion of a fossil out on the western side of Brisbane, and the fossil, by everybody's explanation, was Carboniferous. Now, do you realise that means it had got 200 to 300 million years younger, while yours truly has got 50 or 60 years older? Can you see the contradiction? Because what it means is we don't live in a world where scientists are interested in the age of a rock at all. Scientists today don't care how old a rock is, only how old it isn't. And you and I need to come to grips with that. We're going to have sort of a break for any questions in a moment. I'll do this in several sections because this whole topic of dating, well, most of us have no experience of dating except with girls or getting older. The first point you need to know in this whole discussion is that scientists don't care how old a rock is, only how old it isn't. In fact, when I first got involved in this issue, that's what I came across. I was in the science department at Brisbane Grammar School, and this book was doing the rounds, 1984. National Academy of Sciences, what a prestigious group. And they published a book on science and creationism. And this was included on the section of the age of the Earth. Scientists knew the Earth was old before they knew how old. Now, can I suggest, if you want to see how logical that is, try that on a woman sometimes. I know how old you are, even though I don't know how old you are. Slap. You're not going to get a good reaction to that. Scientists knew that the Earth was old before they knew how old. What nonsense. If you wrote scientists believed the world was old before they knew how old it was, that's a little closer to the truth. But what we need to realize is that the hidden rules involved in dating things, involved in even carbon-14 or uranium-lead or the helium method that was used on that rock from the islands in the Pacific, it's based on Charles Lyell's present is the key to the past. Charles Lyell is paramount in all of this. Now, I know you can read American creation books on geology and you hardly find a mention of him, but you need to. You need to read about him even in your present day evolutionary geology books, and they skip his hidden principles, his hidden view. The present is the key to the past. Where's that picture? That's the British Natural History Museum geology section. Whatever carbon-14 is doing now, it's always done. No, don't criticize me. Charles Lyell knew nothing about radioactivity. He knew nothing about carbon-14. But what the principle he gave us, whatever a thing is doing now, it's always done. That's why even Charles Darwin said this. Lyell is most firmly convinced he has shaken faith in the flood and creation far more efficiently by never having said a word against the Bible than if he'd acted otherwise. Now, be honest. You're in the USA, you're in Canada, you're in Australia, you're in England. You never read that statement from Charles Lyell in your biology books or your geology books. Charles Lyell, Charles Darwin, had an agenda. Their aim was to get rid of the biblical view, to get rid of the works of Moses, to get rid of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. I'm going to free science from Moses. In other words, I'm going to make what has been previously godly into something that's not only ungodly, it's anti-godly.